they were stuck in this phase, and now at this point,
they're just turning around and
see. I can see, like,
but I see what you're saying. Like, they felt oppressed, and so they're going to try to change it, and the only way they know how to change it is by becoming oppressors again.
Mm-hmm. So it just, like, yeah.
It's the perpetuated cycle.
Right.
Yes. Maybe this guy's not so dumb after all.
Well, see, and it all just has to do with perception, the perception on how you view things, and just
They're closed-minded.
Just the way he was, I guess, the way the oppressed are accustomed to being on top of things and being the majority.
You mean the oppressor?
Yeah, the oppressors being the majority of, and then to be thrown into a situation where it's no longer that way, it must be uneasing, and they fear it. So
yeah, I understand.
That's exactly. You know what? That goes back to the apartheid thing, because there was a quote in the thing. He's like, "I'm scared that they're gonna take over the country and not run it right." Basically, is what they said.
Is that what the?
I actually have a quote.
Is it the white landowners?
Yes, he said that he feared that they were gonna let the country go into chaos, and maybe they feared that their state will go into chaos.
Their state. It's not
their state. You know what I mean? Because they're being infiltrated by people from the outside, and that's how they view it. That all these people here have no right to be here because it's theirs. It belongs to them.
Right.
That's the perception.
Yes.
So are you saying that Arizona feels the same way?
I think so, and that's why they're working so hard to keep it.
That makes sense. To limit everything that they can.
Going back to the apartheid video, and it kind of ties into dialogue. Do y'all remember the scene where the landowners were holding meetings?
Yes.
That kind of, like, to me, that seemed like a perfect example of the oppressors' dialogue. In that video, are they considered the oppressors still? But since they feel oppressed, are they oppressed? Do you get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Well, the white landowners, they were talking about how they need to change the situation, how they need to gain back control. And I thought that was a good example of dialogue between them. And then the oppressed, the black landowners, they would hold meetings to figure out how they need to change their situation and get their land back.
Mm-hmm.
And
You know why? And it goes to, when you said that, it made me think, because Paulo Freire was saying that you need to not see yourself in your situation and as you only as a subject, but as everyone as a subject.
Mm-hmm.
And each of these groups are seeing only their situation,
right,
and seeing them as a subject. So then dialogue isn't really going on, I would think, because these group of people are only seeing themselves as
they're not
subjects.
going on between the landowners and the indigenous people. It's going on between the landowners themselves and the indigenous people.
No, I just think dialogue doesn't exist within either group, because they're only seeing their situation. Do you understand?
They're not seeing like the situation as a group.
They're not seeing.
So they're not understanding how the white landowners would feel that it's their land because they've owned it since a number of years
and put so much work into it and have put so much money for it to be taken away. I don't think there's dialogue going on at all there.
I think they're both blaming history.
Mm-hmm.
And Freire says not to do that. Like, you don't need, not necessarily blame history, but you can't have history be the reason that things are how they are.
Mm-hmm.
Right? He says something along like, you need to, just take action and transform it, not just be like, okay, this is just how things are.
Right.
And I think that's both what they're doing. They're both blaming history for things just being how they are.
See, yeah, and I really don't see, now that I look at it now, I mean, when we first started talking, I thought there was dialogue between the two.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But now that I look at it, I don't think dialogue exists between either group. Just because they're seeing only themselves and their situation.
Right.
They're not seeing
the bigger
picture.
So was Mandela a great example of like the intermediate dialogue between the oppressed and the oppressors?
Because I think he saw it from all different views. And I think that's why he was so successful in accomplishing things that he wanted to get done.
Okay, so there could be an intermediate dialogue or between the two groups.
The mediator?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe
like the one, I think he's like the one person that actually had dialogue going on.
Who actually did it successfully.
But did he do it successfully? Because the indigenous people still don't have all their land back.
He did it as
well
best as he could with the people that, I'm sure he did participate in dialogue with a few people.
Right.
But you have to have I think participation from both sides. You know what I mean? That's why it didn't get.
So maybe dialogue can exist between the oppressed and the oppressor with an intermediate person. I feel like that might be the only way you can have true dialogue
I think-
between.
There needs to be a
You,
third
like
party.
you need a third outside party looking in at the situation.
Well, that makes sense because I'm thinking about like counseling and things like that. Like if say for example marriage counseling, you have the husband and wife, and then you have the counselor who's the mediator that acts between the two.
Yeah.
And usually whenever you're counseling and stuff like that, you're just talking straight to the counselor
Mhm.
who's acting as mediator. So maybe you're right. Maybe that principle can apply to a wider group of people, such as what we're.
But then, okay, if we use your counseling example, then one of them would be would one of them be the problem and the other be the person who's like, the problem's being imposed on, and like,
Well,
the
I'm-
counselor's trying to fix the problem, or how are
I'm
you
just
saying
saying
that?
the wife is usually the problem. I'm
Okay.
saying-
well, in that case, then it's basically
Fail.
one. Okay,
Right.
then one is the protagonist and the other is the antagonist, right? We'll just go with that.
Mhm.
So you're classifying them as two different people, but in dialogue, they shouldn't be classified as two.
No, I'm not classifying it at all.
But they're
I'm
not.
just saying
They're
that-
not dialoguing with. They're not dialoguing between the husband and the wife. That's why you have the intermediate counselor.
Okay.
They're dialoguing with the counselor, and the counselor dialogues back with the other party.
Okay.
It's like playing middleman.
Okay.
Because I mean, I can understand if you're in a situation, you can be naive to it, like your
But an
perception.
outside view.
Yeah, because like
would be more.
I mean, I can see how I'm in, like I'm in my same a woman. I'm like oppressed. I can understand how I wouldn't be able to tell that because that's just what I'm used to.
Yes.
So you need an outside party to. That's it. I
I
guess.
gotta open your eyes to it.
Right,
Not exactly
and be
tell
somewhat of
you,
a
but
critical
open
thinker.
your eyes.
Right.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
What's next on our agenda?
Talking about
Animal
the animal
instincts.
concept
Oh no. Oh God, no.
and how themes
Here we
and
go.
stuff like that.
Here we go.
No, okay. The animal instinct goes on to the whole perception of where you are, right? That's what we were talking about.
Mhm.
And how we are not, as humans, we are not animals because we can critically think of a situation and we can pull ourselves out of it and
No,
perceive things
because we
differently.
can reflect upon our actions is what makes us human. It gives us the human factor.
So we can think about what we do and why we do it.
Yes.
I mean, like, which is why we have the feeling of guilt.
Mhm.
We're able to reflect on what we did, and then
And
say really-
ruminate in it.
But how do you know?
And really bask in our guilt.
But how do you know that animals don't have this?
Have you ever seen how would you see an animal feel guilty?
People. Okay. Let's take it.
When a dog pees inside the house, they know they effed up.
They're
you can tell.
conditioned because
yeah,
they're punished.
It's conditioning. It's just conditioning.
They're-
Well, aren't we conditioned for our guilt though too? We're conditioned by society to feel guilty.
Yeah, but we're able to feel guilt. They're scared because they think they're going to get beat. I'm serious. Like, or not fed, which
But
either
we're.
one of them.
I know,
But it doesn't cause emotional distress.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Okay. My thing is okay. Take into
but I
consideration.
still feel like we're conditioned to feel how we feel. We're conditioned when you steal something, you should feel guilty or you should feel bad. We're conditioned to when you, I don't know.
I mean, I can see your point on that, yes. But okay, how can I explain this? When an animal kills another animal for subsistence, they don't feel guilty. Okay, they took a life, but they don't feel guilty.
We
Because
don't feel guilty when we eat a cow.
No. There are people who feel guilty. That's why they don't eat meat.
No, they're just pansies.
That's why they don't eat meat. You know what I mean? Like,
Okay.
so they have the guilt, and the other people, I guess they don't have the information to feel the guilt. You know what I mean? Like, I don't feel guilty if I eat like a burger or whatever, but some people do.
Are you saying?
And you have that choice. But
Animals have a choice. How do they not?
their choice doesn't come from within them.
It comes within
from
their surroundings.
within their
Yeah.
surroundings. The information can be put out on our table, and we have the choice to do with it what we will.
So it's like we have a feast in front of us and we choose what we want to eat.
Well, I guess so could they.
Yeah, see?
But
No, but food-wise, I'm sure
I don't know. I think what we're lacking is a good example.
for animal-
To apply it to that.
Yeah, like I want to know what makes us like, I understand the self-reflection. Like,
self-reflection and rationality.
yes, I understand how we can self-reflect on what we do, even though I think it's part of being conditioned. I just don't see how his example, I don't know, I think it's flawed.
I think it's a very good example.
Yeah, because you don't care about humans.
No,
I mean,
and-
pets.